Hey, this is Kevin with MCrider. When was the last time you practiced swerving on your motorcycle? If you're not practicing swerving, it's not going to be there when you need it out on the road. This week on MCrider, we're going to talk about swerving, how to do it, and why you need to practice it. Hey guys, my name's Kevin. I'm the host here at MCrider. You can also find me on our associated website, MCrider.com. MCrider and this YouTube channel is all about riding a motorcycle. I'm a certified MSF and total control instructor in North Texas, and I do weekly videos every Tuesday on the art of riding a motorcycle. This week we're going to talk about swerving. And swerving is just simply two consecutive counter steers. So if I want to swerve to the right, I'm going to push on that right hand grip quickly, get the motorcycle to lean to the right, go to the right, push on that left hand grip to get the motorcycle to straighten back up and go on the corrected path of travel. When we perform a swerve on a motorcycle, the motorcycle leans underneath us, but our upper body stays upright. So the motorcycle leans, our upper body stays upright. That way the motorcycle can correct the path of travel in a lot quicker manner than you actually leaning with the motorcycle. So in what situations would you perform a swerve? Well, let's say you're riding down the road, you're going 30 miles per hour, and the couch in the pickup truck in front of you falls out of the back of the truck. It's often more efficient to swerve than it is to actually stop. And if you're going at higher speeds, like on a highway, the last thing you want to do is try to come to a complete stop on the highway and not know what the traffic behind you is going to do. So swerving a lot of times is more efficient, especially at speeds of 18 miles per hour or up. It's more efficient to swerve a motorcycle, and it adds a lot of safety factors to it as well, since you don't have to worry about the traffic behind you coming to a stop as well. Let's look at how I practice swerves on a parking lot. Here I've got 2 cones to ride through, and then I've got 4 cones about the width of a car to avoid. I set this up occasionally, or I just pick a spot in the road, and I'll make a few run-throughs at various speeds and swerving to the left and the right to get a practice for both sides. So here's some tips to performing a good swerve. One thing you want to avoid while swerving is applying the brakes. You're already using a lot of the traction, the available traction to perform the swerve, so one of the last things that you want to do is ask braking force to be applied to that tire as well. You want to keep a smooth, steady throttle when you're performing the swerve. Remember, adding abrupt throttle or decrease of throttle is going to upset the suspension of the motorcycle. And also you've got the fact, depending on what gear you're in, of engine braking as well. It's another form of braking, so if you roll off the throttle, you're in a lower gear, you're going to get a lot of engine braking than if you ask those tires to swerve. In addition to that, may cause you to lose traction. You want to move your vision away from the object you're trying to avoid. So we've talked a little bit about target fixation in the past, and if you're staring down at that object, that pothole or whatever it is you're trying to avoid, you're a lot more likely to hit it if you're staring at it. So you want to look in the direction that you want the motorcycle to go. And lastly, if time or space permits, you want to brake before you have to swerve. So if you've got the time, you're going down the highway, if you've got time to scrub some of that speed off with the brakes, you can slow the motorcycle down a little bit, then you release the brakes and perform your swerve. Remember, you don't want to combine the two at the same time, so it's that brake or swerve decision. In this case, you're going to brake to scrub off as much speed as you can, then you're going to release the brakes and perform the swerve. So a couple of the main factors that really affect our ability to swerve on the highway is target fixation is one of them. Staring at that object that you're wanting to avoid. So remember, get your head and eyes up away from that object, look in the direction or point your nose in the direction that you want the motorcycle to go. And lastly, a lot of times that a rider's going down the road and you'll see people on YouTube, there's videos of guys just riding right into what they're trying to avoid. They actually freeze up. So there's that just that momentary lack of awareness or freezing up or just panic, and a rider rides directly into what they're trying to avoid. Well, the only way that you can really overcome that is with practice. And I know I say this a lot on this channel, trying to get you guys to get out and practice some of these skills. But that's really the only way that you can have that in your mind when you need it out on the road. If I practice swerving on a regular basis, it's a lot more likely that when I need it on the road, I'm actually going to be able to perform that swerve than if you're just relying on the one time that you performed a swerve to pass the MSF class to get your license. It's very unlikely that you're going to be able to perform that swerve when you actually need it on the road. So remember, just because you know where you want your motorcycle to go doesn't mean you're going to be able to get it to go there in a panic situation. You need to practice these skills, and you need to set aside dedicated practice time. Find an empty parking lot, find a vacant road, and pick an object in the road, a spot in the road that you want to avoid, and practice riding at it at various speeds and swerving to avoid it. Remember, at speeds 18 miles per hour up, we're a lot more efficient swerving a lot of times to avoid the object as opposed to braking. The addition of braking is going to, cause us to have to look behind us to see if the vehicles behind us are getting to a stop. So swerving a lot of times at road speeds is your best option, but it's not going to be there for you in a panic situation if you're not practicing it, if you're not building that reflex into your riding habits, so that when that object pops up out on the roadway, you've got the skills to be able to avoid it and to get around it and to keep on moving down the road. So until next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road.